Welcome to Shotgun The Aux, alright?
I'll do what I usually do.
Yeah.
Which brings us on to our guest for episode 33 of Shotgun The Aux, Big Daddy Rap Beast.
Yeah. How you doing, guys?
Good, man.
Yeah,
Good,
sweet,
man.
Thank you
Good.
very much for making the journey down from Pompey.
My
Yes,
pleasure.
man.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for helping me be as relevant as possible.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
How was the M27, man?
Mate, it was
Gridlock.
good. I'm disgusted at what they're doing to the motorway there. They're turning it into a smart motorway. It's 50 mile an hour all the way down at the moment. And the only benefit of a smart motorway is it's going to have cameras that if you break the variable speed limit, you will instantly get fined through the post and have to go on a driving awareness course.
It's ridiculous.
Is that
man.
what a smart motorway is?
That's basically it, yeah.
Oh, mate.
There's loads of them all over the country and they're just creaming in money from it at the moment.
It's a conspiracy.
It
Government
is.
conspiracy.
It is, yeah.
Can't get behind that.
Uh-huh.
So, man, Big Daddy Rap Beast. I was saying earlier, you have to have quite like a lot of confidence to have a rap name like that, and I fucking rate it. So tell us a bit more about, to our listeners who may not know who you are, tell us a bit more about who you are and where the name came from, man.
Okay, fair dues. Yeah, I would describe myself as a tongue-in-cheek romp through a struggling underground artist trying to balance the hip-hop lifestyle with rapidly approaching middle age and juggling family and his career all together, you know. That's why. It's Big Daddy Rap Beast is supposed to be a bit funny, but it's also like homage to Big Daddy Kane. It's a name that seems to be completely unpalatable to any record label or most hip hop fans. I've taken a fair amount of like abuse for it, but it's supposed to be funny, but it's also supposed to sound a little bit brolic as well.
Yeah, man. I
when
mean,
I'm in the mood.
you certainly made an impression on us, man. And like when Bobby from Boogaloo, he joined us on an episode. What was episode 9 or 10?
Yeah. Well, then, because he was the one that obviously showed us the CD.
He brought a
then
CD along, man.
I've said that I'd come across you before at one of the shows you did at Riviera with when you were supporting, obviously Tenshu was playing, and Concept of Thought, wasn't it?
Tenshu was there. I think he's featured on one of my tracks or a couple of my tracks
Yeah.
on the album. But he was just playing on my song that night. I think
Right.
Concept of Thought were there, and Benny Dickinson, who's a top guy.
Yeah.
Concept of Thought were all good as well. It was a good night.
Yeah.
It's a shame about the sound at the start. though,
Yes,
I think.
mate, yes.
It was the first live show I'd done for a decade or so. First proper one anyway. I've done a few little open mic night things and that before. And I got off stage. I felt it had gone quite well. And people were like, yeah, that was good. And Benny just said to me afterwards, he was like, mate, you were sick, but I couldn't hear a word of it. And I was like, oh no, really? The mic was so low as well. I was shouting all my bars and I'd completely lost my voice for about 3 days afterwards as well. But look, it was still a sick night, and I'm not trying to be an arsehole about it or anything. Like, I love Bobby, he's my boy, and I know he was a bit stressed that night with it all as well.
Oh yeah, 100%, man.
I think the mic like completely blew later, didn't it? Concept
Yeah.
of Thought had to do it was the sound system blew. They had to get somebody to beatbox while they were doing their rap. So I think someone from Concept of Thought beatboxed for Benny, didn't they? That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was absolutely off my face by that point. So who knows?
That's thinking on your feet, though, man. That's improvisation. Somebody just jumping on and beatboxing. I mean, that's hip hop.
Well, you can't get any more raw than that, can
Yeah,
you?
exactly, man.
That is hip hop. I've never been to that area of Bournemouth before. Like, I've been to Bournemouth a lot of times and done a sort of weekend away thing here, and been down the seafront and seen the nice side of it. I mean, Christ,
nice side.
what area was that in? It was the most memorable thing of the night for me was every time I went outside the front for a smoke, there was absolute skullduggery going on out there. It was like toothless drug users everywhere.
Yeah.
One time I went out there and there was some guy just going mental at some other lad who'd been with us all night, and bouncers trying to split them up and stuff, which is standard fare. I mean, from Portsmouth, I'm not really like short of seeing a few fights. The next time I went out, there was actually somebody laid down on the floor out there with paramedics working on them. There was people buying and selling drugs up and down the road. It was quite funny.
Where
really.
is it? In Boscombe?
Yeah,
I was going to
Boscombe
say, yeah, that
High
makes
Street,
sense.
Yeah. Nice jerk chicken shop over the road though. We had a little bite to eat before we went in.
Oh,
I
yeah,
recommend it.
Oh yeah, banging
Boscombe's
that
got
jerk
some
chicken
like
shop.
good little spots and stuff, but yeah, it can be a bit ropey though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's worth checking out the Cellar Bar if you go there. It's got a good beer garden. They have some good like music nights there.
Okay.
Some local heads putting on a show
there.
soon, actually. Easy Life, George Bucks.
Yes,
Been
yes.
previous guests on our show. I think Mick Swagger's doing a 10-15 minute slot as well.
Is
So
it?
yeah, so Bournemouth Heads, I think that's on the 10th of October. It's a Thursday night. Make sure you get down there because it should be quite
Yes.
live. But yeah, in the midst of Boscombe, so yeah.
Nice, yeah. No, it was a good night, and as I said, it was my first gig for a decade. I'll be honest with you, like I was quite nervous, so I think I pulled it off all right. But since then, I've done some more live shows, and I've got my live show down to a T now. Like I'm really enjoying it. No, I've beaten the anxiety of getting back out there and that, and I feel like I'm representing. I feel like I've got a lot to offer with my live shows now.
Heavy, man.
And so please do get at me if you need an act. Pay my travelling expenses, and I'm there.
So I think a good introduction to people who may not have heard of you before. There's a video where Battlegrounds, I think it's called, like a live show that you're doing, and at the end you mention that it's like a surprise birthday party, and but you're spitting over the deep cover beat, and you just go in. I thought that was sick, man. I was watching that earlier, thinking, "Damn, he's really going for this."
Yeah.
Was that fairly recently?
Well, it's actually on the album.
Yeah, because it's on the.
I've got the album is all produced by Secret Other Family, which is my mates Tiny and 184. But I did steal a couple of beats on there. The ever popular Still Wank, and where is it? Oh yeah, Beast and 184 Twins Deep Lover.
Yeah, Twins.
That's
Yeah.
Because it's Twins Deep Cover, isn't it? The Big Pun version of it.
Yeah.
With Fat Joe. So yeah, I did that completely without asking 184's permission, and just like used my relationship with him to try and make it sound more interesting and make people listen to it. Cheers, Lou. Sorry about that, mate. But yeah, I don't quite know how that came about. Really, I wrote the entire thing really, really drunk, actually. So it's a mystery. It would have been me sat up late night, drinking heavy amounts of booze and just writing silly raps.
So when you sort of made the decision to go in and start rapping, and actually being like a musician, you said at the beginning that you're a very tongue-in-cheek sort of rapper, so you know that it is going to be difficult to sort of break mainstream. So did you have an idea of the artist or the sort of musician that you wanted to be, or did you want to be really authentic and this sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of like artist?
I think it's just a general progression. Like, what is my USP? It's not something I ever sat down and even designed on the back of a fag packet or thought about my target audience or anything like that. It's just naturally where it's taken me. And
is it what's gotten the best response?
well, I'm still really waiting for the response, to be honest, guys. I mean,
do you think it's kind of like a reflection of like who you are, like quite like jokey, you don't take yourself too seriously, do you know what I mean? And that's kind of
absolutely,
it shows, man. And like, I'm not gonna lie,
it's great. I think
so. I was listening
definitely.
to this album on Spotify. You realise it's like a truncated version on Spotify, and it's not in the right order.
Yeah. I didn't really know what I was doing when I put it on Spotify.
See, that makes it even better.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, I had like all the structure in my head, and I sat down and looked at the CD and put it on, and I was just like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, this is in the right order.
Yeah,
but,
well, there's some tracks on the CD that aren't on Spotify.
Yeah. Including that 184 and Still Wank. And
well, obviously because of the copyright issues with just stealing beats from exceptionally well-known producers. But the copyright one actually has got a sample in it that couldn't be cleared.
What, We Ain't About Shit?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, man, like, you've got some
title,
but We Ain't About Shit.
Oh,
but you've got some fucking big names on it, man. Like from across the pond, obviously, like Copyright and Tame One.
Yeah.
From the fucking Weathermen. Do you know what I mean? The Weathermen, just to give some context, obviously, like a production team come rap group from America, you know, the likes of kind of Aesop Rock and like LP and Company Flow, now probably better known from Run the Jewels. It's just so like, and obviously Copyright, man. I mean, he's
a hero of mine growing up.
And Cage as well. Do you know what I mean? You've got some big.
He was a hero of yours growing up.
Well,
Copyright's sick, man.
yeah. Have you heard the album The High Exalted?
Yeah.
I can't say I have.
You need to listen to that album.
So how?
It's an absolutely phenomenal punchline LP, and everyone says it's a punchline LP. You know, I see all types of people going, "He's the best punchline rapper," or the best punchline album. That album was absolutely sick when it came out.
So how did you go about getting him actually on your? This is the only album you've done, isn't it?
Well, no. This is the only one in the last decade.
Right. So then your most
I'm
recent.
quite an
album.
old boy.
So how did you go about getting him on? Because I mean, most rappers would have a long and prominent career and not actually have any of their sort of major influences actually on their albums.
Can I have a guess? Was it through Tenchu with his rap battle against Copyright?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was absolutely nothing to do with that, to be honest with you. That was a sick battle, though. I was absolutely freaking out when I heard he was battling Copyright. Freaking out. I hadn't listened to Copyright for ages by that point.
And he beat him, didn't he?
He did beat him, yeah. I don't actually think it was judged, but in my opinion, he beat him. And Copyright did post on the social media afterwards saying a lot of Copyright's mates were like, "Oh, did you skin him alive?" and all that. And Copyright was like, "Absolutely not." You know, he was a good opponent.
But I think as well, obviously, Tenchu's fucking levels, but Copyright, the audience were sleeping on him a bit on that battle as well. I think a lot of it went over their heads. I don't know. Because some of the stuff he was coming out with was still really good.
Yeah, he made lots of references on there to Copyright got punched by Icon the Mic King. Copyright used to have a reputation for people paying him for doing work and then him not doing the work. Icon the Mic King had paid him to do a hook on a track, and he never came through with the goods. And then he saw him at a festival. So Icon the Mic King, who now runs that underground hip hop site, he whacked him out apparently.
Oh, UKHH?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, not UKHH, UGHH.
Underground hip hop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's American.
So Tenchu did his homework. He missed out one really good thing as well that he should have said in that thing that I told him afterwards, and he was annoyed that he hadn't told him. Was that there used to be a website called Sloppy Fight, and Copyright basically he'd fallen out with a lot of people. I can't think of the names, and I don't want to get it wrong, but people from the Weathermen, and there'd been at least 2 or 3 incidents where Copyright had taken a bit of a hammering afterwards, I think, and they'd filmed it, and they'd made every time he got beaten up, they put it on this website called Sloppy Fight. And how Tenchu missed that, I don't know. He should have spoke to me because he knows that when all that stuff was current, I was the biggest rap nerd in the world for Weathermen, Cage, Necro, and all that sort of stuff.
Mate,
Jedi Mind
Tricks.
Tricks.
Still follow Necro now?
No. It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Let's be brutally honest.
Some of the fucking videos he comes out with and he's just so obnoxious. Even for Necro's levels, you know what I mean? His early stuff, obviously,
it was superb. The I Need Drugs album and the Gory Days album.
I quite like
phenomenal.
I quite like the album he did with Cool G Rap as well.
Yeah, that's good. But you can sort of tell, and people out there correct me if I am wrong, but they didn't record that in a studio together. It sounds like 2 MCs laying down random verses and then him making songs out of them.
But then you see, there's a recent video where he's with Cool G Rap in Times Square, the two of them are together.
I saw an interview with him and he said he's got G Rap's number and that, and they speak and stuff. Cool G Rap's an absolute legend. You know, I was gearing up later. You're probably going to ask me if I could do a track with one MC or who's my idol. It would be G Rap every time. Absolute legend.
I love that Lessons track by Ari the Rugged Man, where he's just I don't want trendy ass followers for fans. I don't want fans who don't know who G Rap is. It's
Absolutely.
just yeah, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that Rugged Man's clever because that validates you so much as a listener. If you're well, I know who G Rap is. You want me as a fan. But look, taking it back to the question you asked me, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you, right? Q Unique, Copyright, and Tame One. How do you guys think an unheard of rapper from across the Atlantic scored them on an album?
Relentless emails and money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sadly, not relentless emails.
Yeah.
They're struggling artists of that generation who probably made their money back in the day and have now spent it all. Who are in a position where they need to earn some money and will sell a 16 or a 24 for a surprisingly low amount of money.
That's the thing, man.
To put it into perspective for you, You know Gore-Tex from Non-Fiction?
Yeah.
I was speaking to somebody the other day who Gore-Tex had agreed to do a guest verse for $200.
Damn. Do you follow Gore-Tex on Instagram?
No,
his
I don't
Instagram
really do
page is
Instagramming,
amazing, man.
To be honest, I've got a Big Daddy Rap Beast page on there, but I'm probably on it like once every 6
You need
months.
to get with it, man.
I know. I need to get with the times.
Down with the kids.
I do need to get with the times. I'm still trying to shot CDs outside of gigs and stuff, and people are just looking at me like I'm completely demented.
So
I haven't even got a CD player anymore. So I've got this done on cassette as well, but that's a
man.
bit more of a niche
Yeah,
thing.
man.
People are buying cassettes. I've got
cassettes,
two left.
cassettes do well, don't
I've
Oh,
got
mate,
two
yeah,
left.
cassettes are like collectibles, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, people won't even play them. They're probably just like...
Can we rewind back to episode 1 when I bigged up the cassette? And you lot were like, nah, man.
Big up the
The
cassette.
cassette ain't coming back. And I said, of course it's coming back, man.
I've got a.
Like I say, a lot of things in the early episodes which
Jake
have all
loves to
happened.
do like a little throwback on
Yeah.
some of these days.
Because I
Reminiscing
must
on
see
the
the
old
future.
days.
I see the future.
Yeah.
I've got a very, very trendy 80s Hitachi boombox. And I look like the David Beckham of Southsea strutting down the road with it. And my Giacomo clothes. And my cassette collection is vast as well. I buy a lot of new music on cassette. There's actually hip-hop record labels out there that only release music on cassette. You can't buy it online. You can't...
Who's that?
Oh, I don't know.
Bilal Records release a lot of
Yeah, God,
cassettes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
they
trying to
do.
think,
High
I know-
Focus release everything on
They
cassette.
do, don't they? Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan, but I really like some of the stuff, absolutely. But I do own every single High Focus cassette release.
Do you?
Yeah.
So you're an
Really?
avid cassette collector or an avid high focus cassette collector?
No, avid cassette collector.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got
That's sick,
I've got
man.
all sorts, old and new. But I do object to paying like stupid amounts of money for old dusty cassettes from people. I don't really do that.
So-
But if a new album comes out and it's a tenner. Like I got Ronnie Bosch's new album, Verb T's new album, Dyke's new album, all on cassette, and I actually love listening to it on that format. Not least because it irritates the shit out of my wife, and I just love my big sexy boombox. So why not? Eh? Just a proper hipster, sat on a beanbag drinking craft beer with a boombox.
What's your favourite craft beer, man?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm partial to one or two of those, man, from time to time. Call me a hipster, but fuck it, it tastes so much better.
it does taste so
What,
much
craft
better.
It's just so expensive, man.
Yeah.
It's so, honestly like...
I'm very lucky to live a stone's throw away from, I think it's rated the 13th best brewery in the country. It's called Staggeringly Good Brewery in Fratton. And their beers are good. This whole album was written on Staggeringly Good beer. They've just opened a music venue in their tap room, basically. And I was talking to them about putting on a hip hop night there, and they were sort of really up for it. Yeah, we like that. I said we'll make it really old school, like proper vinyl DJs and stuff. You know, it'll be great. And they were like, yeah, good. And I was like, I'll send you some of my music. Have a listen, and I'll come down and have a chat with you. So I sent them some music, and didn't hear anything for a little while. And I got an email back eventually after I prompted them, and I'd sent them Until I Start Flowing and Eat Emcees Alive. And they said, thanks for sending the music. However, we're very concerned that using people's bullet wounds as glory holes may not meet the sort of ideological values of our business. And anything that we put on has to be safe for our audience. And that was the end of that one. But their beer's good, though. But they're haters.
Oh, that's amazing.
Haters.
So, man, Peep My Jawns.
That's crazy.
That's a sick name. And also, like, and who did the cover art? Did you design that?
I wish.
Is that Microsoft Paint?
No, that is designed on. Wait for it. It's actually written on the back. Deluxe paint for the Amiga.
Deluxe paint.
Yeah. As a kid, I had an Amiga. I thought I was the most hard done by kid in the world because all my mates had NESs and then SNESs or Mega Drives and Master Systems. I hated my parents for making me have an Amiga, but I now realise how lucky I was to be in the Amiga club.
Yes,
to
man.
the point where I have 2 Amigas in my house set up next to my tape player with an old Commodore monitor. Again, it annoys the shit out of my wife. It's actually in my bedroom as well.
So, man.
Sometimes I look at it while we're making love. So it's pixel art, right? So this guy designed it using pixel at a time, pixel by pixel by pixel, And if you look on YouTube, actually, if you look on my Facebook page for Big Daddy Rap Beast, there's a link on there to a YouTube video. The dude who made it, his name is Jose A. Gonzalez, obviously. The Spanish chap, he wanted like €60 to do it, which I think was a bargain. And he'd done the back cover as well. If you lift up the CD, you can actually see there's like a half-finished version of it there.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the picture of the app.
Is
there.
that like you there?
It wasn't supposed to be, but I now feel like it is. I feel like it's personifies me, which is bizarre because I'm a person and that's not, so I should be personifying that. But I feel like that's the rapping me.
Yeah.
He was a bit worried today because he thought he might get shotgunned actually, but I told him it'd be all right.
No man, I love it. I love the whole vibe to it.
Shotgun The Aux.
Exactly,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Shameless plug
Yeah,
on
yeah.
our own podcast. Do you know? But yeah, the album's really, really heavy, man, and it kind of like surprised me, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's got like a mix of, you've got your kind of like braggadocious kind of flexing punchline heavy hilarious boom bap, yeah, but then you've also got a couple of like quite introspective tracks on there as well.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like the one with Every 2 Seconds,
Yeah.
where it talks a bit about, I guess, like who you are and some of your like inspirations and some of your experiences.
Yeah.
And then there's the closing track, which was Found a Light as well.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is very. It sounds it's very kind of personal, which was a bit of a kind of like a massive contrast compared to your kind of Emcees Alive and Still Wank Until I Start Flowing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Tiny, one half of the good friend of mine, big up DJ Tiny, one half of the Secret Other Family.
Ironically, he's really
production
tall,
team.
right?
He's massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was Dirty Dyke put a picture on social media of him and Rag and Bone Man stood to each other, and I'd been with them moments before that picture was took. I was gutted I wasn't in it, to be honest with you. I'm needy for some social media attention, but the three of us together were just like huge.
You should just superimpose yourself into that photo.
Yeah, I think I will actually.
You should superimpose this guy into your photo.
Yeah,
man.
I'd like to get a mask made of that as well to wear at gigs.
Or like MF Doom-esque.
It would be a little bit like that, wouldn't it? But so right, where were we? So the one with Tame One, Every 2 Seconds. I'm going to speak completely candidly about that track. Okay, I got a beat of Jabba the Hutt, which was a sick beat. Jabba the Cut, sorry, not Jabba the Hutt.
He's from Bournemouth.
He is, yeah. Andy, big up Andy. He's a good lad, top DJ. I got a beat off him, and I sent it to Tame One with a little bit of money, obviously. And he sent back his vocals. Did it very quickly, but unfortunately, it was very obvious that when he recorded it, he was probably a bottle of whiskey deep, at least.
Yeah, man.
And I was in bits because I was looking forward to that. I'd already got the Q Unique done. I'd already got the copyright one done. And I was like, this is the completion of the triangle of good old school US, the Trinity, yeah. And I was really like quite upset about it. Really, I paid him the money, and I was like, this is weird. I dared to question his
decisions and like how he chose.
Yeah, and he didn't react very well, if I'm honest. So I sent it to 184 Lewis, who's the other half of Secret Other Family, and literally within minutes he knocked up that beat and cut Tame One's vocals to sound like they do on the beat, acceptable to good, I'd say.
Because it's quite a
So-
off-key verse, isn't it? Like,
So
I was
just going
thinking
back,
that.
when you said that to him, what was his reaction?
I said, how do you feel about it? And he was like, it's good. And I was like, do you really think it's like up there with like, your verses on Leak Brothers and Artifacts and stuff like that? And he just sent back in all capital letters, you don't, with about 18 question marks. So I was like, no, it's great. Cheers, mate.
Taking advantage of our English sensibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought about today and whether or not I was going to just be completely and brutally honest about these sorts of things. And I thought, do you know what?
Fuck it, mate.
Fuck it. Why not? What's the point of lying? But Lewis done a great job in making that track, and it's actually, I love it. And Tame One killed it. retrospectively somehow from beyond what he'd initially sent me. The beat that I'd sent him wasn't right for him, but he done his best after he'd spent my money down the pub, by the sounds of it. So the way a lot of people have said to me, featuring Tame One, it's more like Tame One featuring you, because he's all over that track, and then I just jump on the end for a 16, and it felt right to do it like that, because he's got his verses are a story about his early days in rap culture, and he's obviously an amazing MC with a great story and a back catalogue, and it felt right for me to just jump on the end and quickly give my 2-minute overview of what I've been up to in my non-existent rap career, So yeah.
So elaborate a bit more about that though, man. Like your background and your appreciation for hip hop music and how you got into it.
Sure thing.
Because you talk a bit about like going to like see Cage and other stuff like that, and the Cypress Hill cassettes at school and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I love hearing about like people's stories about how they got into it.
Well, funnily enough, it is exactly the same album as Prince Kong said to you guys.
Black Sunday.
Yeah. Big up Prince Kong, by the way. He's a top guy. I've met him a few times back in the Don't Flop days and more recently as well. So yeah, I was in year 5. So what would have been about 9 years old probably, and everyone at school listened to Nirvana and Guns N' Roses. And so I just got down with that because that was like the done thing. And then this guy at school turned up and he had a bootlegged Cypress Hill cassette of Black Sunday that his older next door neighbour had given to him. And he come back to my house and we played it on, and I was instantly just like spellbound by it. I just couldn't believe the amount of swearing in it. Like it really just turned me on. And so we're all like a 9-year-old white kid whose parents are both teachers, who lived in Chichester at the time and grew up in Chichester of all places. Try being a gangster rapper from Chichester. It's not a good sell to record labels, trust me. Chichester, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, man.
And we're jumping around to A to the motherfucking K, homeboy. And when the shit goes down, I had to convince my parents. They actually said when the ship goes down, and they were like sailors or something, or getting blowjobs off boats, I don't know.
But was the best.
Mate, I was absolutely spellbound by that album, and I graduated from that into, for some reason, the next person that struck me was Ice-T. I found Ice-T, and I think the first album I heard was OG, which is a great album, but the best Ice-T Ice-T album, in my opinion, and the one that I listened to on repeat for years, to the point I made my mum repair the cassette when the tape broke in it, take it apart and splint it back together with sellotape. It was Ice-T's 6th album, Return of the Real. If you haven't listened to that album and you like gangster rap and stories about like Crips and Bloods in LA, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I was definitely writing raps by the time I was 13 years old, and I was trying to sound like Ice-T. I was probably writing them earlier than that. Someone else said as well in one of your interviews, I used to listen to the tapes, write down a couple of bars, press play again, write down the bars. I used to write all the lyrics down and rap them at school to people. And then I was gutted. I brought an Ice-T album, and the book in it had all the lyrics already written. I was like, shit, what am I going to do today? I was already sat there with my pen and paper. I think that was OG, has the whole lyrics written down. So do you know what I did? I ignored it and sat there doing it anyway. I enjoyed it that much. And then, I remember a rap I wrote when I was 13, because I say I'm 13 in that rap. So I was definitely writing since then. Obviously, it was complete shit. I was trying to sound like I was a Crip or something because I loved Ice-T that much. And then people got more into garage and drum and bass. So I started sort of chatting garage and drum and bass terribly as well, absolutely terribly. Despite being from Chichester, I've got a cousin a couple of years older than me, shout out Stephen, who lived in Croydon. And him and his mates were all like proper rude boys. Well, I thought they were anyway. Like they impressed me a lot, to the point where I really idolised these guys, and I'd go up there and hang about with them on the mean streets of Croydon, they were into rapping. They were more into girls, and they were more into all sorts of naughtiness and MCing as well, graph. And they were all sort of chatting garage and drum and bass. All of them had a 2-tape cassette karaoke machine in their bedrooms, and that with 2 mics, and they'd go back to back over a whole 90-minute tape without a single beat that didn't have a bar over it, just rinsing and tongue rolling to jungle. And I was absolutely besotted with this, and I used to go back to Chichester, and my mates down there will laugh because I would come back and I would be speaking like I was from Brixton or Hackney or something. I'd be like calling everyone fam and that, and people were just like, "What is wrong with you, you sad wanker?" And I'd have like tracksuit bottoms on with white socks tucked into them and that, and develop this strut. It would wear off after about a week of being home from it. He used to hang around with Mickey Worthless.
Yeah.
Shit.
So I met Mickey Worthless at a very young age, and a guy called Jamie who was a garage MC when I first met him. He was an absolutely sick garage MC. He went by Tails was his name, and then he turned into a rapper. He was a massive fan of like Smut Peddlers and Cage and stuff like that. Very, very, very deeply into hip hop and its roots, and he was. I think he was fond enough of me, but he used to look at me as like, "All right, farmer boy, like, you know, why are you sort of trying to bring bars up here and that?" But I learned a lot from him, and he actually said to me at the time I changed my name to Animal Beast, which is what I put my first album out as, and he just said to me one day, "Do you know what? You should just call yourself," and he looked me up and down, "Big Daddy Rap Beast," like that. I think he originally had named me Beast as well, originally, because he just saw me for the first time and was like, "Wow, he's a beast." The word beast wasn't as widely used back then. Like, people use beast all the time now, don't they, to describe a lyricist or something good or something like hardcore, or paedophiles as well, or the police, of which I'm neither, I assure you.
For the record, man.
Just for the record, yeah. No, I'm not a nonce, and I'm not po-po
That reminds
either.
me of that fucking Fools and Horses episode. The Peck and Pouncer.
So that's how we got onto that. I was making some terrible music at the time on my very own karaoke machine with a double tape deck that I'd proudly been given for Christmas, and I was sort of lamely trying to sample things into microphones and like use it as sort of, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. It was dreadful. And you'd go to the shop, Woolworths, and you'd look for any hip hop single that had been released that had an instrumental with it. So you can imagine, I'm talking like Ghetto Superstar. I think it was before that. Gangster's Paradise, all that sort of shit. I've got songs with like school friends that we made crew names up for and stuff together, over all those sort of cheesy beats. And I kept doing it. Actually, at this point, was convinced that I was going to make a career out of hip hop, and that's when I met 184 and Salvo, his brother. Have you heard of Salvo?
No, man.
So Salvo's Lewis's younger brother, and was a sick rapper. He used to regularly, like, he was one of Tenchu's old rivals. You know, Tenchu was saying about good MCs like in that area that he used to battle. So Salvo was able to spar with Tenchu quite happily. And he was releasing music and stuff as well. He used to go and do Chester P's end of the week freestyle when he run it like, I don't know, 3 times on a trot or something like that. And Chester P done songs with him. They knew Blade and they knew Task Force. They knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
And at the time, so Salvo, 184 produced an entire album for me. It was called Labour in Vain, and Salvo featured on a couple of tracks of it. But he doesn't rap anymore, weirdly. He now produces trap videos for like American trap artists, and he sells gold front teeth as well.
Wow,
Fronts, man.
bit of a career change. Also, I suppose Simon's in the same sort of sector, isn't
Same
it?
ballpark, yeah. But he was a good lad.
Selling
And,
grills.
Yeah.
you know, it pains me a little bit that I didn't put more into rapping then, because I had no idea like what Lewis was going to go on to do. I mean, he's making beats for Ocean Wisdom now, and you know, he's got songs with Dyke and Sonny Jim, and like, you know, he's well thought of in the industry. He's a very good friend to have, and a dear friend of mine who helped me out massively by producing 2 albums for me, including the most recent one. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking back. I should have backed it a bit harder and thrown more at it. But me and Lewis just used to get really pissed in the studio, and we'd always end up arguing as well. We're good mates, but we'd end up like having artistic differences, and I'd have to phone someone to come pick me up in a strop and wait outside his house, and that. Like, it was all quite funny, really. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, man. So in terms of like, obviously you had a bit of a hiatus when you first started making music. We were talking earlier. You had a bit of time out. Obviously, like priorities change and things happen. And then what kind of like reignited the passion? What got you back into it again?
Oh, I wondered if you asked this, and I was also wondering whether to lie or not. But
Don't
no,
lie.
no. I
Tell us both versions. We can cut out the one that you don't want. I'm joking.
Wait, if we start with tell us the cool or the cool version first,
Yeah.
and then go to the real version.
The ghost of Tupac came to me in a dream and told me that I had to fulfil my prophecy to become the new West Coast rider.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
And our guest today, Kendrick Lamar.
Just on that note, then. So, and I don't know why, because I'm usually someone who's like an advocate of the counter argument that like you shouldn't compare the two. But if you did have to, Pac or Biggie, man, like who resonates more with you?
I listened to Pac more, and I think he was the better song maker and more important to particularly to black people in America at the time. They're a repressed population, and I massively respect what he was doing there. Biggie, over a beat, just rapping all day is better to listen to. Biggie fell in with the wrong crowd, and it was the right crowd for him financially, but not for his long-term life and health, I guess. But I always thought, imagine if Biggie was like in Wu-Tang or something like that, or even sort of signed to Eastern Conference Records or something like that. Think of what he would have put out compared to the sort of cheesy pop music he was mostly doing with Puffy.
Yeah.
It would have been so much better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, completely different story, isn't it?
That's the thing, right? He was always like better when he was making the dark shit, wasn't he? Like when he was rapping about
Mr. C freestyle. You know the one?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So the real version now.
The real version is I was around my brother's house at Christmas, and my nephew Ben, big up Ben and Jackson and James as well, and my other nieces and nephews while I'm there, Harriet, Oscar, Maisie, and my other brother Chris and Amanda. My nephew Ben, who's banging to rap, played me Contact Play's album, Champion Fraff.
So Dyke and Bosch and that guys, yeah.
And I listened to it, and I was like, fuck me, this is good. And I was like, they sound a little bit like what I was trying to be like, because I used to just rap about lots and lots of booze and drugs and girls and stuff. I was trying to be the sort of drunk fat rapper, rapping about that debaucherous lifestyle, and I don't know, it made me want to write bars again. It's as simple as that. I could look deeper into it, like, you know, did I think, there might be a market for the sort of stuff I do or whatever? I'm not sure. And they're amazing. Like, I wouldn't compare myself to any of them as like par for par. I'd be embarrassed to rap in front of them, if I'm quite honest with you. But
so before you heard them, were you aware of what was going on in UK hip hop at the time?
no, absolutely not. No.
So you didn't have any sort where you weren't listening to UK hip hop at all? No.
Correct. I'd actually completely fallen out of love with music for ages. A lot of stuff happened to me. I had my daughter and had two lovely stepsons. Met my wife. My father passed away. I'd become 25, and I sort of stopped rapping, and I fell into recruitment, which is what I do for a living. I've been doing it for 10 years now. I'm 35 now, and it's an exhausting job. It's very, very rewarding. Like, if you're good at it, it's a license to print money. And music just suddenly just didn't matter anymore. I didn't listen to anything. And then one day I was like, I'm fucking miserable with my life. Probably had like postnatal depression still when Sophie turned about 5. And I was like, I'm going to start listening to hip hop again. And so this just sort of happened like that. I just went straight back to all the old albums. I loved Capital Punishment, Porn Again, 36 Chambers. And I just went straight back to all the old stuff and instantly felt much happier again.
So you must have literally just come into just like, if you'd not have followed really the UK scene, to then come in and just see how much music was out there.
Yeah,
it must have been great for you.
It was good. It was good to peel back the layers.
Had you like listened to the early days of UK stuff before you went on hiatus? Obviously, like your Chester Peas, Task Forces, and
Absolutely,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
I was a big fan. I've seen Blade perform live back when he was
yeah,
still
'cause you
rapping.
referenced that in one of
Yeah,
the songs.
I must be proud of it.
Yeah.
He's a top guy. Chatted to him on Messenger recently and stuff, and there was some sort of a strange altercation that evening and I just brought it back up with him, and he was like, "Forget it, mate. Don't worry about it. It was a strange night." Everyone was pissed. Obviously.
Was that any? You've got a track called MC Altercation on your album, man. Is there any relation?
No, not at all.
That's a sick track because Tenchu's on that, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Tenchu's a
Smashes
very,
it.
very good friend of mine. Shout out Tenchu. When I moved to Portsmouth, I already knew him from the hip hop scene locally anyway. But when I moved to Portsmouth, we started playing at a lot of the same hip hop nights. He used to go by Audio Hustler then, that was his name, and he was in a group called Different Manners. And we used to the hip hop scene in Portsmouth was pretty dead. There was a few nights, to be fair. There was Bring the Noise and a few other bits and pieces. We were at something called South Coast Statement, but it just ended up in the same way most things in Portsmouth end up, which was a massive fight. And there was people going there with agendas that they wanted to just start fights with people from different parts of Portsmouth and stuff. Just
Weird,
like,
that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. we loved it, and we ended up getting Skinnyman down, and we all opened for Skinnyman at a venue in Gunwharf Quays.
Well, it was at like the shopping centre.
Yeah, a
What?
Jungler's bar. So we
right.
threw this massive
Is it
night on.
next H&M?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's there anymore.
inside
actually.
Nando's. Just like,
Yeah.
right.
It's probably a coffee shop now. So yeah, we got Skinnyman down, and we all opened up for him. It was a sick night, and it was like after that we went to an after party with most of Mud Fam. Skinnyman didn't come, and after that the scene just sort of died a death. It was like, well, we've peaked now. What else are we supposed to do after that? And we all sort of went our separate ways. And that was around the time, as I said, I just stopped doing it.
It's a shame, man, because like it's the same in Bournemouth. Unless you're kind of in like there is a scene here. It's quite disjointed. There's a lot of different crews and different people doing different things, but no one really like ever combines it all. I think unless you're kind of in London or Manchester or one of the kind of big cities, it's harder to sustain it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a shame because it'd be good to kind of unify to some extent. But
I think a huge amount of rappers lack social skills.
yeah, man.
A lot of people smoked a lot of bud when they were younger, or still do, and are actually like nervous wrecks when you get to know them.
Yeah.
Well, you're putting to
That's a
to
fucking
put
good
out
point.
music and to put out lyrics like that. You're putting out a lot of yourself and a lot of emotion, aren't you? You're putting yourself in a really vulnerable situation, aren't you?
I think also if you're like a creative type, you're typically not necessarily kind of like always going to be functioning in like a straight and narrow way.
You're not
gonna-
meant to be naturally more emotional.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's hard because I'm not like creative in the slightest. I don't make music. Do you know what I mean? I appreciate music and I love it, but I wouldn't know the first thing about constructing a song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can imagine it's if you were like a lot of rappers I've met, and to your point, I think it's
It's quite introverted people.
Yeah,
when you
exactly,
get on
man.
stage, they're very good at portraying a different side of them, and
they're putting art out. They're not like first and foremost. They're writing and putting art out. They're not thinking about networking. They're not thinking about like a business model and expanding. They're just thinking about putting music out.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people who, kind of like promoters and people who manage them, not speaking for everyone because everyone has like different stories, but some people are taken advantage of. Some people like get kind of disenfranchised with what's happened to them. Do you know what I mean? There's so many people and so many different stories, so many personalities. But I think just creative types in general, they're unpredictable.
yeah, and it's hard. I'm really pleased with. There's a chap down in Portsmouth called Blessed Matt and his team. They started the hip hop scene again, basically in Portsmouth. They're a lot younger than me, and first of all, as an old fucking miserable bastard, you look at all the young'uns doing their thing and you think, yeah, fucking you're all shit. I'm not doing anything to do with you lot. And then I thought, actually, do you know what? Let's grow up and be a good person.
Yeah, man.
And I bumped into Matt at some show I was rapping in, and we got chatting, and I started going to their nights and performing there. Tenchu comes as well. and they're great guys, and they are good as well. And watching them over the last year, Matt's been doing it a long time, so he's different. Some of the other kids there, going to the first shows, it was ropey. But actually, the one we went to on Tuesday, I was mega impressed with all of them. It was like...
you were there at one point as well, man.
Of course, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you think that's quite a common trait within older artists to initially sort of look down at younger people that are trying to then sort of put their stamp on the scene and not be as supportive as you necessarily should be?
Yeah, I think it's a common trait in hip hop altogether.
Yeah.
There's people when they get some exposure and some fame become extremely elitist, and they spend a lot of time promoting their friends and their label mates and stuff like that. But they don't care. And there's this attitude between rappers that, you know, if you're too into rap, if you're too like over enthusiastic about it, then you're actually a bit of a dick and that. Like Vinny Paz always goes on a lot about like, fuck, I don't listen to rap, I listen to Black Sabbath and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like fuck all you other
Heavy
rappers
metal
sort
kings,
of thing. and yeah. And
he's well into metal, isn't he? He's done like a metal track before.
Yeah, him and Ill Bill, they love it, yeah.
Heavy metal kings, yeah.
But yeah, I think there's some elitism, and there's also a lot of very good people who want to reach out and hear new music.
It's strange, isn't it? That you wouldn't necessarily think straight away to support someone that's doing what you were doing however many years ago.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But then it's natural, isn't it? You're going to want to be like, you know, I did it first. You're with the original.
But also though, it's weird because it's like it seems like an anomaly with hip hop because you wouldn't necessarily have like metal bands or like rock bands all having a big community and being like, right, I'm going to like feature with them and I'm going to like prop them up. Everyone's like an artist, like. In their own right, do you know what I mean? In their own lane, and it's up to the artist. Obviously, it's good if there's a scene and it's supportive, but it's the responsibility and onus of the artist to carry it forward. Do you know what I mean? And make moves themselves.
That's completely true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And I don't want to sound like a whiny bitch because I'm not getting enough like support off the scene and that like that. If I really wanted that, I know I'd have to spend a lot more time developing my craft and promoting myself and that sort of thing. But it does feel like there's an element of that elitism in it, and people sneering down the chain at people below them a little bit on there. I reached out to a lot of people with this, and I've got to say thank you to some of the people that acknowledged me. Rare Kind Records in Brighton stocked it on cassette and on CD. Simon, whose surname currently is local chap. Simon, surname begins with an F.
Simon Franklin, man.
Simon Franklin.
Specific.
Sorry, Simon.
He's been on the podcast, mate. Yeah.
How is he? I've not seen that one yet.
Yeah.
He sent me a rave review when I sent it to him and stuff. And there's so the people that I wanted to really like it all really liked it.
That's it, man.
Which was great.
And that's the thing, man. Ultimately, it's about like obviously validation is always a good thing. I imagine as an artist to kind of give you that like bit of oomph to keep going with it. But at the same time, you need to enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And if there's kind of you just doing it, and you know, we were talking about it earlier. You went along somewhere with Tenchi, and you do this for fun, and you're in like a fortunate position because you do it.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit more about that?
Tenchi gave to me were like, you're lucky to not be completely embedded in the scene. Just do you, just like enjoy it and stuff. It's a good place to be. Yeah, I've got Tenchi's put more into the culture, into his art than I have by 100 times. If I put that much in, I'd be better than him. No, I'm only joking, Tenchi.
So who are you listening to right now?
Well, running up to this tonight, I decided that I needed to listen to some more, and Tenchi will love this, more current stuff, in case you asked me about it.
No, man.
And because we postponed this for a month or so, I'd originally thought, I'm going to be completely honest, go on there and say I'm a grumpy bastard and I only listen to smut peddlers, and if it wasn't in the 90s, I don't give a shit, and all new music's bollocks. That's not the on-trend thing to say.
Sounds like a backhanded way of saying, like...
You're supposed to be more sort of with the times, and music's changed, and I'm riding that wave too. So I did start listening to a few... some new music, and I actually quite like some of it, I've got to admit. I've been listening to One Extra, which probably isn't the best platform to listen to, but...
Jake's a big advocate of One Extra, aren't you, Jake?
What the fuck was that?
Huh?
What was that?
Well,
Jake Gibbs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to hear some music that I probably hated. That was why I listened to it.
Yeah.
But some of it was all right. I can't stand this stuff where they've got loads of auto-tune on people's voices.
Yeah.
What's that all about? Bizarre. But so some of the new UK stuff's all right. There's a guy whose few songs I keep hearing on there called AJ Tracy or something like that. He's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah,
He
right,
can rap.
Tracy.
AJ Tracy, man.
And some of the grime lot, like I used to love listening to grime when it first came out. And then during my music hiatus, where I just didn't listen to anything, I've sort of forgotten about it. But if you listen to sort of Stormzy and Wiley and Skepta and that now, they're good. I like the music. It's all right.
Yeah. Well, I think you're quite right. There's so much good music out at the moment. And you were saying before, you're a huge supporter of like the High Focus roster.
Well, yeah, I said I've got all their tapes.
I was going to say, man, it's good.
I'm not like jocking them to the 9th degree. Some of it's unlistenable, to be quite honest. I've got the cassettes and they're gathering dust.
You can tell us offline. I won't make Aiden edit it out.
And I'll go as far to say that I'd prefer the Contact Play stuff, the early Dyke and Baxter, to the new weirder stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the new weirder stuff's listenable. But I just prefer that boom bop sound. It is what it is. I'm an old washed up guy who likes what he likes. They say when you hit 30, the music you like when you're 30 will be the music you like for the rest of your life.
I hear that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm 35 now, so anything in the last 5
I'm
years.
31,
Fuck
so
off.
yeah, the jury's out on me as well, man.
Apart from this.
Yeah. Get Peep My Jawns. Get on it, people. But yeah, man. I mean, like, I think there's some really sick UK hip hop out there right now. I was listening to the new Juggernaut album with Jallow Point. I think Juggernaut, he's a Nottingham-based MC. Have you heard of him?
Nah,
He's fucking sick, man.
My boy, my man, Ginger Slim, you know, Tim
Ginger
Fish.
Slim, yeah,
he was
he's-
bigging up Juggernaut, saying if you haven't heard it, you're not listening to the right stuff.
He's sick, man. He's really good.
Yeah, I should give it a go. Big up Tim as well.
Yeah, he did a review of your album, didn't he?
He did, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a good music journalist. I think he's doing bits for like Ambrosia for Heads and some quite big
He is,
publications in the
yeah.
States at the moment.
He's starting to break
that's
through.
sick, man.
Big him up, man.
Because he did a good piece. He posted the other day on Aesop Rock's album. You know, the one with like Daylight and all that on. What's it called? Labor Days, is it?
Yes, yeah, I remember that. I had I got that around the same time as I got the is it Cannibal Aux album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, when I first got it, I was bitterly disappointed with it because it was getting the same good rave reviews that the same people who were listening to the music I liked back then when it first came out. I don't know if it had just come out, but it was much newer than it is now, put it that way. It was getting rave reviews of people who were sort of like into like the old necro and non-fiction stuff, which for me was like the pinnacle at the time. And I was expecting to hear something identical to that, and when it wasn't, I was like, "Oh, what the fuck
It's
is
quite
this
like
shit?"
cerebral, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Especially Aesop Rock. I mean, did you see that chart? Like, it came out with like a vocabulary chart, and like,
Yes.
Aesop Rock's like leaps and bounds ahead of fucking every other rapper. You sent me that, I think, Jake. I can't remember, I think like Pharaoh Monch and like Doom's quite far up there as well, and Cannabis and people like that. And then like the other end of the spectrum, you've got, I'm guessing, mumble rappers. I don't know. Can't remember who was on there. But yeah, Aesop Rock was just like leaps and bounds ahead of fucking everyone else. Some of his stuff you just have to like, you have to like double take just to catch it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very out there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I like that. That's what I used to like about Cage. His punchlines were so deep that you'd get lost in them. Sadly, Cage, like Necro, also fell off hard, and he's doing some weird stuff.
I still rate Ill Bill though. Like,
Necro's
Necro's
Billy's
brother.
good.
Yeah.
I just brought out that the rare demo. No, not rare. The Ill Bill, the early years on vinyl. have you heard that album?
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's hilarious. I like he's sort of rapping like this, isn't he? Sort of that very nasal sort of thing. I used to speak to Necro quite a lot online, and I used to say to him, "Why isn't Ill Bill rapping like he used to in the old voice?" And Necro was all like, "Oh, I've tried to make him and Gore-Tex rap like that, but it's pulling teeth." Whereas his exact words, they don't want to do it anymore. They think it's corny.
So you've got quite an underground taste in hip hop. Who would you say is in your top 5?
Broad.
it changes a lot. But are you looking for like obscure underground shit here?
It was best top 5 hip hop all time.
Oh man. Okay, I would say, I would easily say Sean Price is top 5, if not number 1 of all time.
Yes, man. I rate that.
And I'm so glad so many people are saying that.
I'm hoping it's not because he's dead now.
Correct, and I hope it's not because people were just like, "I'll be cool if I say that," or because it's like.
I remember when he died, man. I got it in the fucking feels. Because like I've been bumping Sean Price for fucking ages, man. Like Helter Skelter, and then like even the like more recent stuff of like Random Acts. Like he's just such a personality. Do you know what I mean?
He's absolutely hilarious.
That video he did with Pharaoh Monch, barbecue sauce.
I don't even know if I've seen that.
Oh my god, man! You've got to check
I will have
the
done
track,
at some point.
The track barbecue sauce with Pharaoh Monch.
Yeah,
man.
I've heard a track. I don't know if I've seen the video though.
It's amazing. He's just
They don't
like
do videos on
superimposed.
cassettes.
He's like superimposed into all this like 1950s kind of nuclear family footage.
Oh, right.
Like Sean Price pushing a kid on a swing and like
I need
coming
to
out
see
with
it.
all this shit. It's amazing.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's incredible.
And yeah, look, it's good that a lot of people are still listening to him and stuff. Did it become like a bit of a cliche when God rest his soul, he did pass away and everyone came out the woodwork as being the biggest Sean Price fan on earth? Maybe. But for me...
Same with Leonard Nimoy when he died. Everyone was a massive Spock fan. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't fucking know anything about Star Trek, man.
Yeah. So he gets to be there for sure. Big Punisher, absolutely 100%. That Capital Punishment album, I got hold of that in year 9, as you know from listening to my song where I mention it, and was spellbound by that. Was phenomenal. Who else? It's tough to say, innit? Would you put Rugged Man as top 5 on his day? On his day, maybe.
He's inconsistent, I think. Though. Like
He can flow hard. His flow's good. And he doesn't take himself seriously either, which is what I really like.
I was going to say, man, I can hear a lot of like influence there.
Probably.
But I love that super lyrical track going back to Big Pun with Black Thought. Like Black Thought for me is like up there, but I guess it depends. Like
Black
he's
Thought's-
often overlooked because he's in the Roots. Do you know what I mean? I think as kind of he's obviously never done any solo stuff besides recently. He dropped a couple of EPs last year, but I just think he's top 5 for me easily.
Okay, I'm scrubbing Rugged Man out. Sean Price, Big Punisher, Rakim, Master Ace, and Cool G Rap.
Yeah, Cool G Rap had to reappear again.
It had to.
Yeah,
I've seen Master Ace live. I
360.
couldn't believe it.
Where was that?
In London, somewhere in Camden.
Yeah.
The O2. There's a little O2 in Camden, isn't there?
Yeah.
The O2 Forum. That's it. I go out there at least once a year. They always have good hip hop acts on there, and they had all of Master Ace and his crew. What were they called? I'm completely floundering here.
Come on, Google.
I should fucking know this shit.
What's your favourite Master Ace song, man? Because like when I hear Master Ace, I just think Music Man. Like, I just think that fucking track is amazing.
Yeah.
With the guitar sample and
I know what you're saying, but what about the Posse though?
Yeah.
If you were going to include every song that he's on, or most of A Long Hot Summer, it's just brilliant.
Oh, fucking Juice Crew, man.
Juice Crew,
Jesus Christ.
I saw the Juice.
Cut that, Aiden.
That's staying in, man.
Fucking hell, hang your head, say. My favourite rapper, and I can't even remember the fucking name of his crew.
It's not just like he's the sole member of that group, man. You got like fucking Cool G Rap, Marley Marl, yeah, we fucked up.
I saw them. Big Daddy Kane's in that as well.
Yeah, man.
I saw them live as I said. Oh, fucking hell, we're going around in circles here. Saw them live. They all did a set individually. Master Ace's live set was the best I've ever seen of any live rapper. It was amazing. G Rap, as much as I love him, stood there, one hand on the mic, one hand on his dick, and basically just didn't move without a sort of 2-step radius the whole time. But he's fucking Cool G Rap. He can do what the fuck he likes, to be quite honest
That's
with you.
true, man. That's true.
Yeah. So that's my top 5.
It's fucking
Nice,
Cool
man.
G Rap Executioner style. I remember first hearing that song just being like, oh my god, man, this guy, absolute levels.
Yeah.
That
He's
fucking
good.
album is
I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah, man. Hit us with it.
On what we were saying about the late great Sean P. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Give me the name of one or more rappers that nobody really talks about now, but will all of a sudden be like everyone's absolute darling when they do sadly pass away?
That's a really good question, man. Let's stick to the States, though.
Yeah. We don't want to get too close to home on this. And look, I don't mean any disrespect to these artists and stuff like, you know.
That's a really good question. Shit.
Should I start with my
It
one?
can't be anyone that's like mainstream as like the Wu-Tang.
No. People like Wu-Tang and mention them all the time. I'd say my one would be Busta Rhymes. Yeah,
Busta Rhymes there, but like
he's
he's
brilliant.
still enjoyed that
But
mainstream success though, man.
But I'm not saying whether they're mainstream or not. I'm just saying nobody talks about Busta Rhymes at all.
He's not really relevant
Ever.
anymore, is he?
Ooh, hate that man. I love Busta Rhymes, man. Busta is
Potentially,
like,
you're hearing this.
Yeah,
it's a
but
fucking relevant shit
listen,
again.
I'm not
Bust
saying
is
that
like-
he's not good.
the
you know.
Hype Williams shit in the 90s, man. And just like his overall personality is just, he's just, you know, Busta Rhymes is a legend.
I'm gonna say Exhibit.
Yeah.
Oh man, great
Mate,
shout.
it's the X to the
yeah.
Z. Yeah.
Great shout. Oh mate.
Yeah.
But is he still putting
He was
music
on,
out? Busta Rhymes is still putting music out, I think.
Is he?
Ish.
Ish.
See
I,
some-
I just know like there'll be like a generation of people who think Pimp My Ride when they think Exhibit, and he'll die, and then they'll think, oh, didn't he rap? And then they'll be like, oh, you know, he's fucking,
Yeah.
he's great, and that's exactly what will happen.
Mate, Exhibit's albums was superb. That Dre production, just absolutely banging.
He's like a proper businessman who's got like shares in sort of cannabis companies in America now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, man.
the X
He's
to the
actually
Z.
making money.
He makes that sort of weird squawking noise, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's sort of like his ad libs in his track. He's like, wow,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Do you know who else though is like criminally overlooked as a rapper, but he's like killing it in the underground and independently, and he always has. And he has co-signs from like major names, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem. Is Tech Nine?
Yeah.
Like somebody who's always been about, always been fucking killing it. I reckon he's probably going to be my choice.
Yeah, no, brilliant choice. Brilliant choice. He's sick. That's super quick flow, isn't it?
Yeah, but also just he's just been putting content out for fucking years, man.
Everyone will be the biggest Tech 9 fan in the world. When
Einstein,
heaven
Tech
forbid, and I
9.
hope it's a long, long time away. I hope I don't live to see it.
So that was a morbid hypothetical, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good one, man.
Good one.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what's
What
next?
about Mace?
Mace, mate. Wasn't Mace?
Everyone will be
on-
playing Harlem
Oh.
World again.
Wasn't Mace on that? You know that like top 50 that came out on Facebook and social media recently, where Joe Budden was at like number 2 or 3, and the internet just blew up, and the hip hop community were just like, you know, out with fucking pitchforks and flaming torches. I swear Mace was in that top 50.
Really? I
was
used to
like,
love that Harlem World album. I used to listen
But
to
come
that
on,
when I was
man,
at
Mace,
school.
wasn't he like he became like a man of a cloth, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Like,
did. Yeah.
yeah.
And then did a song called "Welcome Back." There was some that Mace Harlem World album. There was some absolutely amazing tracks on there.
Yeah.
There's 24 Hours to Live, which is a thing with it's got the locks in it, and I can't remember. I think like Styles P's on it and stuff. And they all have to rap about what they'd do if they had 24 hours left to live in their life, and it's deep. Most of them are just going on about smoking skunk and like shagging people and that, but it's fucking good. I would love to make a remix of that tune, just use that beat and just go at it with a load of UK rappers talking about what they want to do if they had 24 hours left to live.
Did you
I
hear
want
that? Did you see on social media last night, like DJ Premier just posted that video, and it was like his phone ringing, and Nas is on the other side, and he's like, "Yo, Premier, what's this I hear about a new Gangstar project coming out?" And I was thinking like, and then it was announced earlier on his Instagram as well that he's dropping a track midnight tonight, Gangstar and J. Cole. It's called like, what's the track called? I made a note of it.
Gang Cole?
Family and Loyalty. But I was thinking, how is it Gangstar though without Guru, unless like they just use kind of old, you know,
Samples.
old bars or something. I don't know. How does that work?
I don't know, man. Is Havoc still going as Mobb Deep without P?
No,
without
man,
Prodigy?
This is it. I think it's a bit like, I'll be curious to see how that kind of pans
Something
out.
smells a bit fishy,
But
doesn't it?
but also, man, like
Your arsehole.
What? Where the fuck? See, this is J. Cole Lowe. You don't really hear much from him throughout the whole episode, but he comes in with these little fucking
yeah.
little spikes, little spears.
You missed his amazing Bryn from Gavin and Stacey impersonation before we started rolling.
It's your eyes only, boys.
Oh, it's a shame, man. It was great. But yeah, I think like it's just I don't know. I was a little bit kind of confused by that. Gangstar. And Gangstar's just
I thought you
started
meant my
another...
Bryn impression.
No. I'm just confused by you as an entity in general, Jake. But like, fucking Gangstar have just started another Instagram account recently as well. So it's kind of like, what is like is he still alive? It's Guru about. Oh, it's weird. But
ultimately, though, it's DJ Premier. He can do what he likes. Really,
exactly, man.
The man's a hero in hip hop.
So that brings on to another question, and Tenchu messaged me after we wrapped up last week, and he was like, "Fuck, I never told you who my favourite producer is and who I'd like to work with." So, going to pose that question to you: if you could spit over anyone's beat, who would it be?
Pete Rock.
Easy.
Nice. Very good choice.
He's dropping a new project tomorrow with Sky Zoo, man.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think he's spitting some bars in it as well. He's
I
not
can't
just
believe you
producing.
overlooked me for that one. I'm morbidly upset. I do. A lot of people knock Dre, but I've got to give Dre credit because his beats are the most polished things I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible, man.
The actual audio experience of listening to, say, Chronic 2001 is sublime compared to most of the sort of lo-fi, dusty, sort of old fucking, other hip-hop stuff.
Yeah.
And some of his beats are amazing.
Did you watch the Defiant ones on Netflix?
I watched about 10 minutes of it and got bored.
Did you?
Did you?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that, man.
Oh mate, I really liked it. They've got a new evolution of hip hop. out.
Season 3.
Yeah,
I like the
so to watch
episode
that.
where they were in Atlanta with the Dungeon family, like Outkast and all of those guys, CeeLo and stuff. But I think because obviously the South was majorly overlooked in the early days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they found their identity. But Outkast are fucking amazing, man. I love those guys.
Yeah,
think,
yeah. That's on the camp there.
Their early stuff's insane.
Yeah.
Both of them can just bar so it's
Yeah, they're good.
levels, man.
What's that album called? Atlanteans or Aliens or something like
80
that.
aliens.
80 Aliens. That's
Yeah,
it,
man.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
good.
super
Got it on cassette.
Super.
Nice.
something Cadillac music. What's it?
Cadillac yeah. Oh, mate.
Yeah, I'm misquoting this. I need to correct myself. Super playlistic Cadillac music.
Yeah,
so I remembered
playlistic,
it.
yeah,
That's
In
it.
the nick of time, I got there. But so yeah, I thought that was really weird about the whole kind of Gangstar announcement. So I'm curious to see.
I mean, it's strange how rappers will use social media now to build so much suspense about different things.
They have to,
Yeah.
I think,
Well, yeah, no, 100%. But it's
to stay relevant.
yeah, to stay relevant. Obviously, we speak about social media and the Wiley. Do you follow Wiley a lot?
I've heard him on One Extra over the last month when I've decided to listen to that sort of shit.
Yeah.
I love the next thing she's wearing, my Rolex.
Yeah. So I think we said it in the last episode. So he's been stirring up a lot of beef and he's trying to call out Drake now. Is it Drake? Yeah.
Why?
He's been trying to call out Drake now on
Not
social
because of
media
Top Boy.
because of Top Boy and being a culture vulture. But I think he's just looking at Jake to respond. Drake to respond
Jake, you
so
should
that he
respond to
me
him,
out.
mate.
it basically promotes his album coming out. He's just using that
Yeah.
sort of.
Have you watched Top Boy? Yeah.
No, so don't say anything.
No, I haven't yet. I still need to watch it, man.
Because I was reading on
Oh,
do you
mate,
know
don't-
Top Boy?
I don't need to watch it. I lived a life.
Yeah,
No, I'm
that's
joking. I've seen
no.
the first series of it. I think.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of brings on to the point I was going to go into. So I saw a lot of people in the UK hip hop community comment.
Are you about to spoil something?
No, I'm not going to spoil it. No, don't worry, wouldn't do that. But I saw a lot of people in the UK hip hop community saying yeah, I don't really rate Top Boy. It's like poverty porn for the middle classes, and it's kind of like when you have to go through that life, why would you need to watch it as entertainment? And I was kind of thinking, yeah, you've got a point, but the counter argument is, it's do you think Brazilians think that about fucking City of God, and the French think that about La Haine? It's escapism, it's TV, it's not necessarily. It's always going to be a reflection of society, but
that's just strange though, isn't it? Because on Twitter, Instagram, and everything, you hear so many people that were sort of born in London or raised in London, and said that they've gone through that sort of thing. Say it's amazing, say absolutely, I fucking love it, and it's the biggest compliment to them on that sort of way in life and that area, in that niche area within London, because it's actually shining a light. It's actually showing what people do go through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In terms of like,
I
what
understand
people, or
both
not
points
go
of
through,
view.
sorry, but the environment that people grow up in.
I understand both points of view, but it's just I think ultimately it is a TV show.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
I was listening to the Reggie Yates podcast, and Reggie Yates was saying how he's doing some show coming out soon where he goes to America and he's a prison guard basically for all prison guard in America. And he said that literally every single person that he spoke to in the prison asked him, is Top Boy really what London's like?
yeah.
Every single person, like all people in America, literally just think that that's what London is.
Do you remember that film Harry Brown that came out with Michael
Plan
Caine?
B.
That was a
Plan
good film.
B, yeah, that's sick.
I rated
man.
that film.
But that was kind of like, even though shit like that does go down, that was a very like kind of sensationalist version of it because it happens in such a short space of time. And it's like, if you were kind of an outsider watching that film, you'd think, fuck me, like, do you know what I mean? Like, all of this stuff happens within like a day.
Yeah.
Like in the first scene, you see like kids on peds shooting down a woman for no reason. And then you obviously see, guy get stabbed and they're filming it all. And I know this stuff goes on, but I think like the makers of the film said this was just kind of, it's basically stuff that happens, but it's condensed to like for narrative purposes. Do you know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you had your honeymoon in America, did you have to like check about the purge just to make sure that doesn't
The
happen?
purge, man. Yeah, fucking hell, mate. Honestly.
Were you worried about that?
No, man. Honestly, like it's weird because reality is stranger now than satire. Like, South Park.
Yeah.
Like Trey and Matt turn out an episode in like a week to try and stay current.
Yeah.
And so they did. I don't know whether you watch South Park or you're familiar with it.
I know
Obviously
what it is,
familiar with it,
obviously,
but so they did a season recently where it was following like Mr. Garrison playing like Donald Trump, and it didn't work as a season, right? Because normally all their episodes are like a wrapped up story in one, but this they decided to do like kind of a narrative throughout the entire season where you had this like Trump character, and it fell flat because in real life. What Trump was doing was much more fucking mental than anything that they could do. Do you know what I mean? So they were just like, well, why would we create satire about something that, he's going to turn around and say something even more outrageous tomorrow. We just can't keep up with it. So they sacked it off and went back to doing like your little episodes.
Well, man, it's all sort of kicking off in Iran and stuff at the moment now, isn't it?
Damn, man, this is Political Podcast 101.
Yeah. It's getting heavy, but yeah.
I'm gonna get Public Enemy on.
Yeah, man.
Are you a football fan?
Let's get into this.
Yeah. Portsmouth, Blue Army. For my sins, a long-suffering Pompey fan.
Have you ever written a song?
Sorry?
Do you ever like chant a song?
What, just play up Pompey play up? That's it, isn't it? There's got to be more verses.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
No, that's it. Play up Pompey.
You've written your own songs?
Pompey, play up. There was an incident a while ago, many years ago, where me and my friend, I was knockabout these boys, Billy and Glenn, and they were in a crew called Somerstown, which is the name of the council estate that they came from. Fucking hell, if you look up Somerstown, you'll see some mental shit. Like their videos were insane. They had, you lot were talking potentially last week about Channel U. They had a video on that Channel U that I'm in a pink T-shirt, randomly like mincing about in some council estate, probably moments away from getting my head kicked in without even knowing it.
Where is it? Somerstown. Whereabouts is it?
Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Is it Summers like SOM or is it like?
Yeah. The song's called. I'm not even going to say it, actually.
No.
It's a good track. But it haunts me. The song's called "Thieving Bastards," and I look like a bit of a fucking pleb in it. And everywhere I go in Portsmouth, it'll just. God, this must have been best part of 15 years ago. We made this song, and it got really popular in Portsmouth. Like I think it got like 500,000 views quite quickly.
No way.
Everywhere I went, people would just shout, "Thieving bastard!" I got it sung at me at Fratton Park randomly. The lad sat in the row in front of me as I was walking up to my chair, was just like, "You thieving bastard!" Yeah, it's good, mate. It's a good song. Billy's a good friend of mine, as is his brother Glenn. But we unwittingly decided to make a song goading Southampton fans a while back, and that didn't go down so good. It was very popular in Portsmouth. Very popular.
Probably quite popular here.
Probably
as
in
well.
Bournemouth as well.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the Southampton fans didn't take too kindly to it, and it had to be taken off the internet in a bit of a hurry, because there was a lot of quite angry messages going that started getting a bit terrifying, really. So I'm not really into football hooliganism or football beef too much. So I thought it'd be better to just distance myself from that. So thanks for bringing it back up, you fuckers. And I apologise to all the scummers I offended.
Oh man, that's awesome. So mate, before we wrap up with the podcast, man, is there anything you want to plug? Obviously, besides the album Peep My Jawns, and it is a fucking banging album, man. So people, make sure you look out for that. If you look for it on Spotify, you're not going to get the full thing. So where can you find a CD?
Correct.
Or cassette. The two left.
There's 2 cassettes left. You can get it on Bandcamp. If you just Google Big Daddy Rap Beast Bandcamp, it'll take you straight to it. You can listen to some of my older music on there and all. Not the Scummer song.
What's that Gypsy Curse song that you did?
Oh, that was one that I did to put on the album, but I didn't think it was good enough.
I quite liked it,
to be honest with you. It's pointless and long and very, very dull.
You had that basically a witch spits on a bloke and he gets a permanent nosebleed. Reminded me of the League of Gentlemen a little bit.
Yeah. I mentioned that in a couple of my other songs. I love the League of Gentlemen.
You mentioned Royston Vasey, don't you?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, Roy Chubby Brown's real name.
It's all full of
fucking love.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that. It's all full of like Easter eggs, isn't it, for people like my age that will remember shit like that. Neighbours seems to feature quite a lot in there. Gladiators and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, chronic masturbator.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember all these bars, mate.
That's your nickname, isn't it, Drake?
Yep.
So I am working on a new album at the moment. I've got let's say album, it won't be an album, it'll be an EP, quite a short EP as well. There's a chap in Portsmouth called Pimpernel Jones.
Love that.
Top lads, and his beats are fucking off the hook, fucking good.
Pimpernel
and
Jones.
He sent me 4 beats, and I've recorded demos to all of them. I'm just waiting to get my fingers out my arse to go and actually find someone with a decent mic and record it so he can master it properly. So it's just going to be a little 4-track EP. We release it on cassette, obviously, and just online. I want to get some videos done to it too. I've got some good ideas for videos, actually, and I'd like to make a shout out or a plea for help. If anybody knows, if anybody knows anyone who's into LARPing, right, get in touch, because I want to have a music video where me and like a crew of people are all dressed up in
Is that
full
fantasy role play?
Yeah, I was frantically Googling
Live action
role play.
Role play.
It's like on
I want
models
to be an orc, and I want like a posse of orcs. I want like goblin break dancers, and I want Tiny dressed up as a full ogre behind the decks and that. I want a full fucking LARPing video. So if anyone is a LARPer or knows a LARPer, get in touch.
Reminds me of that Peep Show episode where they go out role playing.
Yeah.
Barbarians, prepare a feast.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
Fucking incredible,
that's
man.
what I want. So we haven't got a name for it yet, but it's got 4 tracks, and I've got to be honest with you, they far surpass anything that's on this CD. Tenchu's on one as well. You'd be pleased to hear. My ever present friends. And yeah, I don't know what it's going to be called. I'm thinking of calling it Biblical Anal Betamax Raps, but that's the name of one of the songs.
Marketable.
Yeah, Biblical Anal Betamax Raps.
No, man, but yeah, keep us in the loop with that, man. You can, looking forward to hearing it. Is it going to be on cassette as well?
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Fucking stupid question.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we wrap up then, man, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to plug?
No.
Well, in that case, short and sweet.
I've got all sorts of stuff to say, but I'd look incredibly narcissistic if I just belted it all out now.
Right,
I did this in 1999. I once caught a bouquet of flowers at Scribbler's wedding or something. No. I just want to say thank you guys a lot for having me on.
Oh, mate,
it's been brilliant.
It's been a pleasure, man. I've laughed
really
as much
enjoyed
in
it.
fucking ages.
I want to say massive thank you to everybody who's supported my album, and all the people who got back to me, even if they thought it was shit. Fuck all the people who just completely ignored me. Massive big up to Ginger Slim for writing the review. I was a touch getting that done, actually. Like I didn't think it was quite good enough to get onto his site, but I was pleased it was. Thank you to Tiny and Lewis for making the beats for it. I apologise to Rag and Bone Man for the couple of times I've met him and been so fucked out of my face. I've like stripped for him and just done loads of weird shit with him. I'm not normally that unhinged. He's just caught me at a couple of very bad moments. Big up to my friend Jake, who the guy was saying earlier lives in Southampton. He's probably the biggest supporter of my music and plugs it more than I do, and believes in me at times when I probably haven't actually wanted the fucker to believe in me, and harped on at me about how good it all is and stuff. Like it's nice, and I don't say thank you to him enough for his constant enthusiasm and energy towards it. So thank you, Jake, for that, my man. Thanks to my wife for putting up with me. Yeah.
Nah, good man.
Well, listen, man, I just want to thank you for how honest you've been.
Yeah, for real, man.
Like, this is really cool, man. I do appreciate that. But yeah, you can find yeah. You can find the. Hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Fuck this up, Aiden.
Give it a like, give it a subscribe. Tell your mates to have a look and share and whatever. You can find us on
so enthusiastic, mate.
On YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the streaming platforms.
Grindr.
You can find it on Grindr, man. Go and swipe right to that shit. And yeah, no, I think that's it.
Nice one, man. At Shotgun The Aux. So lastly, Big Daddy, Rat Beast, the Beast, Big Daddy, or Simon. What was I going to say? I can't fucking remember now. No, I was going to say, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, I was going to say down the pub most weekends. Did I shout out my wife as well?
You did.
I did shout out.
Yeah,
Double shout out to
You've mentioned your entire family.
My long-suffering wife. And my mum too. And Colby and Joe and Monkey as well. And Tenchu. Did I mention I know Tenchu? Lewis, 184. I'm not really one for the social media. I'm very unequipped to being a music artist in the current age, but I do sometimes post on the Facebook page, Big Daddy Rat Beast, inventively called that. I believe it's on Instagram too, because to try and make more of you fucks buy it, I paid money to Facebook to do a sponsored post, and it automatically set up an Instagram account, which I really forget that I even own. If anyone wants to do my Instagram account for me, please do. Please do. So yeah, you can find me there. Facebook's the one that I go on to, really. Other than that, peace.
Big Daddy Rat Beast, it's been a pleasure, man. We're
Thanks
gonna
very much.
play out
Peace
with
out.
we're gonna play out with 100 bars of nonsense.
Don't let me hang in.
Yeah, safe, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been emotional.